his foundation. Today, Mark is talking about concrete foundations, things like that. And I want to tell you that he has a strong foundation for integrity. And he also has a strong foundation for something Zig Ziglar talked about years ago. He said, if you wanted if you want to get everything you want in life, just help enough other people get what they want. And Mark walks that foundation. He's helped start and get BNI going in the Mid-South, multiple chapters, Mississippi, Tennessee, I don't know where else, but he did a yeoman's job at that. And now he is taking his integrity, his foundational principles, and all of the learning that he has gotten from learning from the Redeemers Group, how to fix your foundation and concrete issues. He's bringing it to Redeemers Group, and they are very blessed to have Mark Cardona. And Mark, we are very blessed to have you today at Mark's shop. Come on down, Mark Cardona, Redeemers Group.
Good morning, everybody. Kevin, wow, blast from the past. I haven't seen you in a long time. I think we ran into each other at Home Depot or some other place a few years ago. It's good to see everybody. And all of what Joe just said has probably got everybody who knows me scratching their head. But what on earth, from BNI, actually from the past 3 years ago to BNI to Redeemers Group? Like, what in the world? What transition? Well, when I last was here, you probably heard me talk about a company called Black Flag Security. Well, Black Flag Security right now, I won't go so far as to say it's sucking air, but it's there. I mean, it's really struggling to stay in business. They're doing okay. Things got another contract last week. But the long and short of it was that I put so much money into it to get it going. Now I need a job. That's basically the way it went. So I saw this ad on Indeed one day. My wife was not too far away when I saw it. And she said, yes, there it is. No, not really. But I've known the owners of Redeemers Group, particularly Rosie Graves, for 25 years? It's been a long time, but she's a co-owner, known Clint through an entirely different association, but they are the owners. I know you guys don't know who they are, but I'll show you a quick pic if you want to just pass that around. We tried to get information off of the iPad up here, they won't do it. Anyway, long story short, I signed on with them back in January to be arguably, they picked the hardest headed guy to do concrete repair. Okay, and that's me. Okay. In that they needed what we call an SDS. That's a system design specialist, that when you have a concrete problem, or it could be a foundation problem, it could be a waterproofing problem, outside drainage, Redeemers Group does a lot of different, not just a one-off company. But I do specifically concrete repair. And concrete repair comes in a whole lot of different modes and methods, obviously. Anybody ever seen a pool deck that looks like what happened? Pool decks are terrible. They tend, just by nature, because the soil underneath is typically not compacted very well, and we'll look at that here in a second on a short video, that the slabs that basically comprise the whole deck tend to move around, and that can create all kinds of problems. I saw one the other day that literally had sheared off and settled about 6 inches, and you could look down in the void and it was full of water up against this guy's pool. It was so strong, the water pressure was like pushing his liner off. So he was having a difficult problem, and that's what I love to do. I am by nature a problem solver, and they've taught me and trained me in how to help you solve concrete problems. That if you have a sidewalk, is what the title of this is, that's down, and you and I talked about that, Pat, when we first knew I was going to Redeemers Group. The cities have changed their model around town. I don't know exactly what the mandate is, but typically a sidewalk in the past has been an easement, right? It's kind of like public domain out there. Well, now if you sell a house, and I saw this happen in Bartlett, right around the corner from my house, the house goes on the market, a city inspector will come out. I don't know if they look at the MLS and find who's listed what in their town, but if your sidewalk's not up to snuff, they have a can of orange paint and they put this big X wherever it's not. If it's down, if it's tilted, if it's cracked, and guess what you have to do? You have to fix it.
Or replace that orange one.
Well, fix it, I mean, you're fixing it if you replace it.
Yeah.
But you get tagged for the job. You cannot close on that house if you don't do, if that, Orange X doesn't go away. So, because that's a liability problem.
And Germantown has copied them.
Yeah, and Collierville, Bartlett, I don't think Memphis can afford to do it. There's too many broken sidewalks.
Now, are we talking the sidewalk in front of the house?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and the apron of the driveway.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, you don't own it, but you get to fix it.
Oh, yeah.
It is-
If it's in front of our house, responsible for that part.
Yep, you are. Now, in front of you, you've got one of these. If you want to just take a moment and open it up. There's a couple things in there I want to reference real quick. And somebody needs to have a timer on me. You know that going in, right? One thing I want to emphasize, I showed you pictures of Rosie and Clint. This is a unique combination of a former Marine, veteran-owned business with a woman partner. So they've got a lot of juice when it comes to what they do around town. We have about 70 employees, from the sales outside and the inside folks who take care of everything, and then our absolutely illustrious crew. And one thing I'll mention, just to give you a little bit of a concept, Clint and Rosie decided a long time ago that they would never subcontract work. So all of the folks who are in our office and in our warehouse are employees. They're all W-2'd, because that holds them accountable to us. We get to train them, and we get to set the standards for what they do. So it's an amazing group of people of about 70 employees. We have a great time. Believe it or not, one of the values that they post regularly is have fun. It's a great place to work. Have fun, humor in everything. So anyway, I won't tell you any more stories there. So as we go along here, I don't want to bore you with this, but I want to make sure that if you have a question, ask it and I'll answer it as we go, rather than keeping a whole bunch of them to the end. But we can repair almost anything concrete-wise. Driveways, sidewalks, pool decks, patios. And when I say repair, one of the biggest problems, and Andre, if we go ahead and play that first video from that little snippet I gave you, have a look at this and you'll get a better feel for what we're dealing with out here in this area. By the way, as he's putting that up, I really have to say kudos to Andre. He's pulled our fat out of the fire.
He's smart.
You see, when your home was built, the contractor moved dirt around the building site. This created areas of fill soil under your slabs that are never as stable as the original soil. When the fill soil settles, the concrete above goes with it. And during drought conditions, or even just times of warm weather and little rain, the soil under your slab will dry out and shrink. The concrete above eventually cracks and sinks into these voids. After periods of dryness, the rains always come back, don't they? Often all at once. And that can wash away soil or leave it so saturated and soft that it can't support the concrete above it. And you know those lines in your concrete? They're called control joints because they're meant to control the patterns of cracking. But when they do, they also provide a perfect path for water to flow down and under your concrete slab. This creates more erosion and more wet, weak soil. To stop concrete settlement, the effects of loose fill soil, dry out, and erosion must all be addressed. The weather.
Okay, so you've got basically a built-in problem. Almost every subdivision in town has some fill soil. I know where I live, you can tell where the hills used to be. They've scraped that soil off, moved it over onto another lot. And in your estimation, do builders take a whole lot of time to let that soil compact? Do they do a really great job of packing it down so when you pour a slab on grade for a new house, that it's not going to move? The worst case is if you have a slab on grade and it moves, you got a problem. But we can fix that kind of problem too. If a slab footer, if your house starts to tilt, you should see some of the pictures that I don't have time to show you, where houses will actually move. We have laser levels that we can look and find the level. And over here, it's 6 inches down. 4 inches down. And the people inside are wondering what's happening. They're seeing cracks, windows won't open and close, doors are jammed because that outside has moved. The footer slipped and everything else went with it. And then you just saw why. Because that soil is soft and the weather conditions here in town and the soil are perfect for the business we do. So again, my specialty is concrete. Do we have one more on the next one? Let me show you a couple of other these are very short, but I want to give you a feel for what the whole business is about.
Is it that causes a foundation failure?
Yeah, it doesn't matter which one.
Regardless of your foundation. Foundation type, home construction starts with the footing. From there, the rest of the home is built. This means that all the weight from the building materials, like your foundation and framing, the siding and roof, is supported by the footing. And the footing is supported by the underlying soils. Remember that the Earth's crust was formed in layers, and then a developer likely moved the soil around your home to create better building sites, adding a layer of fill soil. All those layers are different and behave differently under the weight of the home. First, even if carefully compacted, that layer of fill soil will continue to consolidate over time. Then, during times of drought or even just an extended lack of rain, soils deeper below the surface dry out and shrink. And when the rains eventually do return, that water can now extend even deeper below the surface, softening and washing out supporting soils. Underground springs and shifting soil layers often contribute to even more movement in your home. Foundation cracks, interior damage, doors and windows that don't work. Settlement can happen to any home at any time, regardless of when it was built. But one thing we do know is that beyond all these problem soils is a layer that doesn't move. To ensure that your home doesn't experience any more settlement, and
we could talk about this all day long. And I know some of you may be interested, you're little science geeks like me, but the practicality is, do you remember seeing that chimney that had separated? Did you see that huge crack? Well, we can fix that. We have a material called helical piers that they actually are like big screws. They screw down with a hydraulic head into the ground, and then they put a jack on top of it, put that chimney right back in place. So there's not much along those kinds of things that we won't tackle. And these guys who do this work are experts at what they do. So far, any questions, any thoughts? Because obviously I'm here for business, I'm here for referrals, and we're going to talk about that. And you need to keep me appraised of my time. Mark?
Got two quick questions.
Yes, sir.
Number one, has concrete gotten better over the years? I don't know. It just seems like all concrete cracks at some point in time. That may not be true, but has it gotten better? I heard people tell me that, oh, it's going to crack. You just might as well get used to it.
Well, most concrete contractors will not warranty their product. But there's two things that are true about concrete. It gets hard and it cracks. Eventually, if it's not done right, it will crack, period.
Second question, are you interested in us seeing drive-by situations and giving you a call and say, you might want to check this out? Are you interested in
Yes, I am, and I have an incentive we're going to talk about here in a minute to help you keep your eyes open for me. Okay? Any other questions?
I've got this going if you can see it.
No.
It's you've got 13 minutes.
Oh, wow. Very generous. What's that?
Good.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yes, Becky?
Tree roots. Tree roots.
Tree roots are terrible. Yeah, well, they call what we call a heave, or create what we call heave, root heave. Unfortunately, we can't fix that because the concrete's up. When we have concrete, most of the problems we deal with is when it's down. Okay, when it's already up by a tree heave or a root like that, there may be other companies that can fix it, but we don't. So let me just take a few minutes to talk about how we fix the problem. Now, I've got a video on this, and if you could go back to maybe that first one, the life cycle of concrete, and we might pick up there where we left off, if that's not too much trouble. If it is, I'll explain all of this. No good? Okay, no problem. This is what we call poly level. It's a unique product, not just to us. It's been around for many years. What we do, and let's just help you envision, you can see in your packet there that there is a sheet called Lift and Level Your Concrete. Okay, see that? Everybody should have one of these. And on the back side of it, you'll see a little basic simple diagram of how they fix this kind of problem. That when concrete settles, you saw up there from a couple of reasons: poorly compacted soil, dry out, weather conditions, water erosion. Concrete weighs about 50 pounds per square foot when it's 4 inches thick. Think about a driveway. We're talking about tons of concrete. And if you set that over basically mud, in some cases, or soil that is eroded, what's going to happen to the concrete? It's going to settle. Okay, so what do you do about that? Well, polylevel, as we call it, is an injectable two-part product. And here's what they do. I actually, just as a caveat, I don't sell anything I don't see. So when a friend of mine, fellow SBS, sold a property, I said, okay, I want to go watch what this crew does. I don't want to be telling, here's a customer, and then I don't know what's going on out on the final product, okay? So I went out on the job, and what you're looking at on this is exactly what they did. That we create what we call fix areas in our estimate. Concrete's down. I saw one yesterday, the concrete was down about that far. And she called us out because this is a safety hazard. Her neighbor tripped on it as he was walking up to her house. That's not a good plan, right? There's some liability possibility there. So what we do, we drill about a 3/8 inch hole. And with a special gun that comes from the truck on site, they inject a two-part polyurethane foam. That injection and mix happens right at the gun. And when it goes under the concrete, under pressure, it runs just like water for about 5 to 6 seconds. And then it starts to expand. So think about a void or a settled piece of concrete. A void being a big air pocket where the slab hasn't broken yet, but it's going to, or it's come some, and there's still air underneath it. The first thing the poly level does, and there's some samples on the table. I was impressed at how this is 250 PSI compression strength. So it will lift almost anything. So as they inject it, it flows like water. In about 5, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, it starts to expand. What do you think the first thing it does as it expands?
I'll say hard.
It's gonna get hot.
Well, it gets hard, but the very first thing it does, why did the concrete settle?
The soil was displaced.
The soil was soft.
Right.
So when the poly level starts to expand, first thing it does is it pushes down on the soil. It actually compacts that soil because it can't push up until it reaches enough resistance going down to get the leverage to push the concrete up. So we get basically a two-part fix here, right? That as it expands, and these guys are magicians. That's what one customer said. It's like magic because they will inject just enough to make the slab come up level to where it was. Because here's the problem. Tree heave, guess what? If we raise a slab that had settled above where it should have been, guess what we get to do? We get to get you a new slab. Because once it rises above level, we can't put it back down. So they're very good at what they do. This is what it looks like underneath when it comes hard. And you've got some samples. Somebody asked me earlier, what is this stuff?
Looks like hard cotton candy.
It is extremely tough.
You can't eat it.
Yeah, you don't want to eat it. It's inert though. No environmental issues with this. It lasts for virtually ever. They estimate 1,000 years. It does not disintegrate. It's waterproof. Nothing leaches into the soil. So it's kind of like a win-win. Okay. Can you yell that to me, Leanne?
7 minutes.
Okay. So this is our magic formula that we can raise and level the slabs. And then we seal the joints and cracks. Anybody think why we insist on doing that for our customers?
Water will leak into it.
So they don't get more water.
Yeah, so we don't get any more water. Because even if you put poly level under a slab, raise it up, but you don't fix the leaks, what's it gonna do? Eventually, it will erode the soil underneath. And that's the second piece. It says protect your concrete from soil erosion. That we don't want any more water going under there. So all joints, all cracks are sealed with a proprietary material. Now I know that's all, that's all Redeemers talk, okay? So let's talk about how you can help me and how I can help you. In your packet, there's a little tiny piece of paper that says refer and earn. See that? Everybody see it? You want to pull it out? Okay. Somebody said they wanted money. Was that you, Mark?
No, but I always want money.
Yeah, well. Look what I have right here in my hot little hand. One for each side of the table. That I will come and gladly hand you $100 bill. Now, this doesn't do what it did when I was a kid. When I saw a $100 bill when I was about 10 years old, I like to freaked. I was like, what? Well, it doesn't mean as much today as it did then, but it's still, it'll buy you lunch at McDonald's, right? Or whatever. Okay. Yeah, maybe. But Redeemers Group offers $100 to anybody who will bring us a referral that will sit down for an appointment. They don't have to buy. If you'll just refer them to me, and my name and number are on that slip, I will come and gladly put $100 bill in your hand. Okay. It's not like keep your eyes open and hope something happens. If you see a sidewalk that's down or your neighbor's driveway is a mess, if they'll sit down for an appointment with me, whether, like I said, whether they buy or not, this is yours. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we're serious about referrals. And my sweet spot, just so you know, is pool deck.
Is what?
Pool decks. I built a pool one time in Arizona, and I won't bore you with the story, but I know liner pools inside and out because I actually built this pool myself. I hired a backhoe to dig the hole, and I did everything else. It was interesting. It took me a couple months, but guess what? It's still there. 45 years later, that pool is still in the ground. So I must have done something right. But Arizona is a different story. That same pool here is going to have a challenge because they simply cannot compact the soil up against a galvanized steel wall, which is what the liner is up against. With enough force, you'll deflect the wall as you're putting soil behind it. So they have to be extremely careful. And typically what that means is, if they don't compact it well, it's going to slip and that concrete's going to settle. We did 134 pools last year, calendar year 25. So we love swimming pools, okay?
So you don't build them or dig them from scratch, or you're just fixing them?
No, we're just repairing the concrete. No, I don't want anything to do with the rest of it. I did it one time.
I didn't think so.
Actually, I built 2 pools and the other one was a whole different story. I'll tell you some other time. But this was a liner pool, so I know that construction. Gunite pools are no different. You simply have to be really careful behind the wall that you cannot over compact the soil as you might like to. You've had a built-in problem. Most pools over the lifetime in the Memphis area will have some kind of settlement or deflection. They'll crack, they'll begin to move or shift. And like I said before, I found one that you could actually see, wow, water underneath. Like this guy's got a serious problem. So any questions over that? Do you know somebody who's got a pool? Yeah, Savannah?
Does your company offer some kind of warranty for foundation repair?
Mm-hmm. Now you're getting into territory that's not mine. But as far as I understand, if certain conditions are met, in other words, piering that we do has to be spaced correctly. It's not an inexpensive fix. But if we have too far a spread because the customer said, like, I don't want them 6 feet apart, I want them 8 feet apart, we're not going to be able to warrant that because footers are really heavy, right? Kevin, you've seen, concrete that's a foot wide 2 feet deep or 2 feet wide, 2 feet deep. That's a heavy piece of concrete. So we have to do the piering right if we're going to raise it. So we have to make sure that those conditions are met. Now, to warrant a concrete repair, you have to do 2 things. You have to let us lift it and let us seal all the joints and cracks. If you do that, you have a 5-year warranty against a 1/4 inch of drop. So any piece that drops more than a 1/4 inch, we'll come back out and put more poly under it. Okay. And we make sure that the sealant stays. This is a very important part of it. This sealant sticks to both sides of the slabs when it goes in between, and it will stretch and expand up to 50% of its width. Slabs are going to move. In the summertime, when they get warm, they expand, so it compresses it. In wintertime, they contract, stretches it out. Stuff never lets go. It's designed to adhere to both sides.
I have a question. I see a lot of driveways where, one has dropped a little bit, so you have a maybe 1/4, 1/2 inch, sometimes even more, where it's a really big trip hazard.
Right.
And to lift like one of those sections, what kind of cost are you looking at?
Okay. Did everybody hear the question?
Yeah.
That, there's always going to be a deflection when typically in driveways, especially if they're on a slope, the water washes out enough, it's going to deflect, trip hazard. We have a minimum to come out. Okay. I only got a minute left and we can talk offline after, of $1,700.
Okay.
And but we say, look, if you're going to raise this slab, let us stabilize the whole thing. And when we get to the $1,700 mark, we'll stop. Or because it's minimum. I had a guy in the sidewalk about 8 feet long, 2 inches down, straight across. He said 1,700 is too much. Well, my question is, well, how else are you going to fix it? You can't do it. I can't do it except this way.
And try to get a concrete guy and see how much it costs.
And
I'd like to replace.
forget
Yeah,
that.
yeah, they get really pricey. I'm out of time and I don't want to challenge this. I thank everybody. Take me up on this, please. Please, I'd love to give as many of these away as I possibly can, especially since they're redeemers.
Mark, thank you so much. Oh my goodness. We learned so much here, don't we? I told somebody the other day.